What's going on, Tiger fans? Hope you're doing great this evening. I am Zach Clemson. You're watching the allclemson.com show, Death Valley Debates Edition. Tonight we're joined by Brad Sinkoff, Jason Priester, Owen Watterson, and Freeman Steyer. Freeman and Owen are two new staff writers on the site. So, guys, why don't you go ahead and give a quick hello?
What's going on, everybody? My name's Owen. I'm excited to be here, a part of the All Clemson team. Previously covered the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets, the Carolina Panthers, but I think we're going to have a great time tonight.
What's up, guys? My name's Freeman Stoddard. I'm a recent Clemson grad. Just moving over here, trying to do some writing, and it's great to be here.
Awesome, guys. Well, let's dive right into the show because we have a lot of stuff we want to cover tonight. Brad, do you have a hot take on Clemson's offense for the season? What is your take?
Well, I think first off, I want to go back and reference something I read earlier this week. Bill Conway of ESPN released his SP Plus rankings for the season. It's a metric that I like to look at pretty heavily. I don't know if it's as predictive as I think he thinks it is, but I do think it gives you a good idea where teams stand. And including in that, he also released his production returning from the previous season. Clemson lost 56%.
Damn.
50% of its offensive production from 2020 to 2021. But guess what they rank in the SP Plus offense? 9th. So a team that lost over 50% of its offensive production is ranked 9th offensively in the nation in SP Plus. That goes to show you how much talent this team has. And I just don't think you're going to see an offense that drops off the face of the earth. I know we're going to talk about the running back situation here in a little bit, but at the same time, I'm not as worried about that. I think the offensive line will be improved. I think the receiving core is going to be one of the best that Clemson's had in a while. And I think DJ Uiagalelei is going to throw it all over the field. I think Clemson will continue to build as they have each and every year with more yards and more points. It's crazy to say, but I think even despite all of that they lost, the Tigers will continue to be one of the best offenses in the nation and maybe put up similar numbers or maybe even better than the previous seasons.
That's hard to do. I mean, anytime you're talking about, improving year over year, that's tough to do. But, I think ultimately at some point the Tigers have to take a step back. I mean, there has to be that season where you take a step back and you go, oh, my God, what happened to this offense? I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but could it be this year? Absolutely could. I mean, losing a guy like Trevor Lawrence, you're going to have – naturally, you're going to take a step back just because of his experience on the field.
DJ Uiagalelei will average more passing yards than Trevor Lawrence did this past year.
Yeah, probably so.
That's a hot take, Brad.
That setback was in 2017 when Kelly Bryant took over the starting quarterback role. That's not coming in 2021. I agree. I think DJ's going to knock it out the park. This offense, I think, has got the potential to be better in 2021 than it was in 2020. No doubt about it.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, I think the biggest question among this entire offseason was the transition, how Trevor is going to transition into DJ next year. And DJ got a lot more playing time in his freshman season than he probably anticipated because of the Lawrence COVID situation. He has a feel for the offense. He's been here a year when he could have gone anywhere else in the country and been a first-year starter, almost any D1 school. So I think the transition from Trevor to DJ is going to be pretty seamless as far as quarterbacks go. DJ got a whole year to learn from Tony Elliott, Dabo, and the proposed #1 overall draft pick coming up in the year. So quarterback I don't think is going to be an issue. And usually when you see a drop-off, that's normally what the problem is. And I just don't think Clemson has that this year.
I'm not sure it's going to look the same as it did this past season. That's not what I'm saying. I think at the end of the day, the numbers will resemble this past season a lot more than people think it will, despite losing so much of the offensive production from last year.
Well, I think
people focus a lot on Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne leaving, but people don't talk about last year. The wide receiving core was really banged up. The backup running backs were really banged up. The offensive line was banged up. You're going to see positions other than the quarterback and running back position. They're going to improve from last season. So there's a lot of positions that are going to get better.
I agree.
Absolutely. Hey, look, I'm being the minority on this one. That's fine, but Jason, XT this season. You have a bold take on him. You think he's maybe a first rounder at the end of the season?
I absolutely do. I think he's going to play his way into the first round next season. I thought he was going to do it in 2020. It didn't seem to work out that way for him. But him coming back, to me, it says a lot of things. First and foremost, he has to rededicate himself to the game, and I think he is going to be a force to be reckoned with on that defensive line next season. It's all or nothing for him next year.
How many years have I had to listen to that? How many times have I been told that XT was going to be the next Vic Beasley, the next Shaq Lawson, the next great edge rusher at Clemson? And every single time he just simply disappoints. It's always something. It's always a reason. It's always an excuse. It's a suspension. It's an injury. It's health issues, whatever. I'm done with that. I am done predicting XT to do anything. Look, if he does anything, any production out of him, I'll be shocked at this point.
That's not to say the NFL talent's not there in XT, though. He's got the speed and the flexibility off the edge to get around NFL offensive tackles. But
then why is he not doing it?
Well, Dabo was raving about him last spring.
If you're going to say if he has the NFL talent, he should be doing it now against college guys.
See, that's what I was going to say. The stats definitely do not back up what XT's talent shows. And I think this year, even if the stats still don't show it, he has the potential and the talent to be maybe, I wouldn't go as far as to say first round, Jason, but I think maybe late second, early third is a little bit more reasonable for him, just because I think with the amount of depth that they have on the interior and on the edge on the defensive line this year, I still just don't think the stats are going to show a first-round pick for XT.
I'll say this might be the first-round pick. I think once NFL teams learn more about him, they will not want him in the first round.
Now you might be hitting on something right there now. That's something that I'm just talking about from a talent standpoint. That's something I wasn't even really considering. But, yeah, you might be hitting on something with that.
And something I want to mention too, something that the situation kind of reminds me of is, I know it's a bit of a sore spot with Clemson, but Rashawn Gary is somebody who underperformed in college, got picked in the first round because of his raw talent, and is really carving out a career in the NFL. Xavier Thomas is somebody who I think has had an up and down career, but the raw talent is there for some team to take a chance on him.
Well, he needs to show a dedication. He needs to show that he really, truly cares.
He needs to show up on the field for all the games. I mean, how many games did he miss last year?
He also, after having a great spring, like Dabo said, he got COVID immediately after, right before the season started.
He got COVID back in the spring, and then it kind of flared up again.
And then he had
but he's a guy that you can't let a hangnail or something like that keep you out. I mean, but he's a guy that historically has had injury issues and stuff his whole career, and he's not being able to stay on the field. Discipline issues, injury issues, work ethic issues, all that stuff comes back to bite you when you're looking for an NFL. But
he definitely needs to grow up some. There's no doubt about that. There's some maturing he still needs to do. No doubt about it.
And stay out of the doghouse or love shack or whatever that when he wants to call it.
Absolutely. Owen, the running backs this season. Lynn J. Dixon going to be a starter for UGA unless something dramatic happens. But you think he may not be a starter all season. Why?
I think Lynn J. Dixon has waited his turn. I mean, Darian Rencher has as well. They're both seniors going into this year. Lynn J. had the second most carries. He had 100 less than Travis Etienne did last season, but still had less carries than Trevor Lawrence. But as far as running backs go, was the second in carries on the team. And I think he has the talent and the experience for Tony Elliott and Dabo to put him out there as the starter week one. But I think behind him with Rencher, Dukes, Shipley coming in, Kobe Pace, there is so much depth at running back. And I think you'll see it in the spring when it starts, the competition between these guys, because it's going to be competitive for snaps. And I think Lynn J. will be out there against UGA, but I just don't see him being a long-term starter for the Tigers down the stretch.
Show of hands. Who trusts Lynn J. Dixon for 13 games? We got one.
I'll tell you why. Lynn J. Dixon still has one of the highest yards per attempt in Clemson history.
Yeah,
he was banged up a little bit
against scrubs. I mean, the fourth team defense. I mean, you can run those yards.
I think he's shown the promise enough. And he was banged up last year with a knee injury. I think he's shown the promise that if he could stay healthy for a year, he has the talent to be a starting running back on that team.
I wouldn't be all over right there. You just saw pop up there from Facebook. Thank you, Essie, for getting in.
I was just about to bring that up too.
Look, I think it's a committee approach for a long time, But I think you're going to see a little bit like ETN in 2017, where Shipley just gets a little bit here, a little bit there, becomes a bigger part of the offense every single game, and then all of a sudden takes off. And I think eventually this will be Will Shipley's shot. I have heard rave reviews from him since he got to campus.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see a committee approach when the season starts. And like you said, Brad, they bring in Shipley, as the games go on and defenses get tired, and he comes in, kind of provides that knockout punch like ETN used to provide as a freshman. And as the season goes on, we see him get more and more carries in this offense.
Well, I think the biggest plus for Shipley being able to play towards the end of the season is what he can provide in the passing game as well. I think he's got a lot more ability to get out in the open field in the passing game and make plays as compared to some of these other running backs on the roster, especially as a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put this in. When I was coaching basketball, I used to tell players, it's not where you start, it's where you finish the game. So I think that personally, it's not whether Lynn J. Dixon starts the game, it's how many games does he finish the game. So, I mean, for me, that's a big thing. I mean, you have to understand who you're going to trust when the game's on the line, when you're in crunch time. And for me, I don't trust Lynn J. Dixon as far as I can throw him. But
yeah, we'll let Freeman get that. We'll do that whole Heisman Lynn J. Dixon campaign on his own. We'll see what he can do for that.
I'll get a poster behind me. I'll set it all up.
Well, I do want to ask you guys this, because we did only bring up Shipley and Lynn J. Dixon. Who do you guys see behind, other than those two guys on the running back depth chart, that can make a push?
I think Chet Malusi's going to have a say in it, and I think Kobe Pace is going to be the short yardage guy, goal line type of.
Marion Dukes. I mean, look, you forgot about him.
No, Mikey Dukes is. I'm surprised he's even still on the roster. I don't. After that fumble against the Citadel, you never saw him really the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I'm with Brad. I think it's going to be Malusi and Pace playing, a pretty big role in the running game.
I will say this: don't forget about Phil Maffa. Don't forget about Phil Maffa.
Though I would not put much expectation on him after having that broken leg back in December.
Yeah, I think he's going to need a year.
Yeah,
I agree. I think he's got a very high ceiling, man. I like the Maffa kid. He is going to be really good.
Exactly. Yes,
Shipley gets all the attention, but don't overlook Maffa. He is going to be good.
But it's going to be 22 or later for him.
Yeah, I think he needs a year.
Probably so. Freeman, Deshaun Watson still hasn't found a home. I mean, he's still at home in Texas, but the Texans won, but he doesn't want Texas. Where do you see him landing this season?
I was all about it. I was thinking the Jets, somewhere along maybe the Raiders. But the more time that goes on, the more they say it. I'm starting to think he may end up in Houston next season. They've doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, and I'm not sure at this point they may just stick to their guns.
Yeah, they may, which begs the question, would Watson sit out this season?
I think that'd be a horrible idea. I think that would be the worst mistake he could make.
I agree.
But he might back himself into that corner.
Yeah.
And the organization knows that. And so they want to, if they want to try to make him look bad, then don't trade him, make him sit and make him not play, force him to retire and then have to pay back his signing bonus. And then you get all that cash back, and then he can go wherever he wants, and you don't have to do anything about it.
And my thoughts are kind of along the line with Brad's there, and I think that's the approach that Nick Caserio is going to end up taking down there in Houston. Is he's going to play Deshaun Sand, he's going to make him sit out and collect as many fines as he has to from the NFL until he decides he's going to stay or not. Because at the end of the day, the Houston Texans have control of Deshaun Watson, not just through the 2025 season, but they can franchise tag him 3 years after that, having control all the way through 2028. So with the new GM in office, with this kind of quarterback, I know there's been a lot of smoke, and Deshaun probably wants to leave, but I don't see how that organization can say, let's push this trade. Let's get rid of this guy.
All right, go around the room. Everybody in here, not naming the Texans, give me the team you think he could end up with.
Carolina.
49ers.
Jets.
Yeah.
Zach, who you going with?
I think the Raiders. I mean, look, there's a lot of smoke coming out. There's a lot of smoke coming out of Las Vegas right now. I mean, think about it. He reunites with Hunter Renfrow and Cleveland Farrell, all those Clemson guys out there. Not to mention John Gruden, who loves Clemson. He loves everything about Deshaun Watson. I think the Raiders are the silent killers in this deal.
I think the Raiders are. I agree with you, because who's the one guy who's crazy enough to just give up the farm and just do whatever he's got to do no matter what?
It's John Gruden.
It's John Gruden, especially because when he loves a guy, he'll do anything to get him on his roster. And he does not love Derek Carr. I promise you that.
I don't know who it was that brought up the 49ers. Even though I said Carolina, I think the 49ers are really starting to sneak in here as moving up towards the favorites list for Deshaun just because of what they can offer the Texans on defense. Because the Texans reportedly wanted 2 defensive starters, 2 firsts, and 2 seconds. And there aren't too many teams that can offer the kind of 2 young players worth of talent that the San Francisco 49ers, and they just drafted Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina last year to shore up that defensive line depth that they really didn't need that much. I think there's a lot of guys on defense. If they were to package a Kinlaw and a Bosa to say, let's do it. Clap your hands, Deshaun Watson's coming to San Francisco. I really think they could put one of the strongest packages together.
The irony there is they could have had Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's true.
They could have had him number 2 pick overall. Back there in 2016.
Hey, water under the bridge.
Exactly.
They had every opportunity to get him, and they didn't want him or Patrick Mahomes for that matter.
Yeah, staying in the NFL.
Defensive lineman.
I'm going to wrap up the show, and I'm going to wrap it up. But staying in the NFL.
Hold on, real quick. Amber said the Patriots. Does anybody raise your hand if you think Belichick's crazy enough to do something wild? This is kind of outside of his.
I don't know that they have the talent.
I don't think that. They don't have the draft picks. Yeah.
If they had the capital, I think he is definitely the type of guy that would go after him, though.
Absolutely. But they don't have the draft picks. I mean, Houston said they want 3 first-rounders or 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders for him. And the Patriots don't have that because they like to wheel and deal their first-round picks for lower picks in the draft.
And they're an old team as it is. They're going to need those picks moving forward. I just don't see that happening. It's too much for them to risk.
You're 100% right. They've got to get better and younger through the draft. They can't afford to give up picks.
Exactly. Well, around the show tonight, I want to just hit on this awful halftime show. The halftime show of the Super Bowl was terrible. It was awful. I mean, does anybody know what was going on with that thing? It was awful. I know
somebody said jock straps on faces.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
boy. This is your weekly Get Off My Lawn segment for Zach, where he acts like he's 75 years old and he's yelling at everything. He's screaming at the cloud. He's just doing it all. This is it. This is Zach's Get Off My Lawn segment. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, give me AC/DC, give me Guns N' Roses, give me Pearl Jam, give me Foo Fighters, give me somebody.
It's 2021, Zach.
Somebody that has a pulse.
Zach.
What, you want to hear Slash playing Sweet Child of Mine in 2021?
What is this, 1992? Zach, I hate to tell you this, my friend. The NFL is not for your demographic, okay? It just isn't for you. All right?
We're old, man. We're old.
Man. Just let it go. Let this go. Cleanse your soul of everything halftime show related. It's not for you. They don't care if you watch it or not, and they're not bringing AC/DC or Guns N' Roses.
Hell, I mean,
you know you're old when you never heard of the people playing the halftime show before. I mean, that's when you know you're old, and I have never heard of The Weeknd until
honestly, I thought it was a band. I didn't know we referred ourselves as like the. I mean, am I gonna be the Zach Lentz? Are you gonna be the Jason Priester? I mean,
no, Zach. You should go as the Wednesday because that's when we do this show. That should be your new name, the Wednesday.
That's right. It should be, but I mean, look, it's a joke. I mean. That show didn't mean anything to me or anybody else, but in fact,
it was about as bad as the actual Super Bowl was.
I was going to say, I'm barely watching it.
There was nothing wrong with his performance, okay? Did I get half the stuff that was going on? No, I didn't get it, but it wasn't.
That's not really but did it have your attention? That's the whole point, isn't it?
I didn't even watch it.
I didn't spell it correctly.
I haven't watched it until Zach started talking about it.
I didn't watch it live.
Hey, look, he didn't spell weekend correctly. I didn't spell Wednesday correctly.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, get off my lawn, guy. Go. We're done. Just scream at the clouds or something.
I will. Guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you were watching online, we'll actually post this show tomorrow morning for those of you that missed it live. But thanks so much for joining us. For Brad, for Jason, for Owen, for Freeman. Be sure to check out the website for all your Clemson news. We'll be back with you all next week. Have a great week.